The Ombudsman accuses the Immigration Department of trying to intimidate a woman out of filing a complaint. A Gibraltar resident among 4 people arrested in an international cocaine haul off the coast of Portugal. The first repatriation of human remains via the land border takes place following treaty implementation. The Instituto Cervantes says it's prepared to reopen its Gibraltar branch as soon as possible. And we bring you the latest from Team Gibraltar at the Commonwealth Games. Good evening. The Ombudsman has accused the Department of Immigration and Home Affairs of attempting to intimidate and punish a woman who intended to complain about delays to her permanent residency application. In her 2025 annual report laid recently before Parliament, Wendy Cummings says it is without a doubt the most significant investigation she has carried out in her first full year as Ombudsman.
The complainant was aggrieved because of the delays in the processing of her certificate of permanent residence. The Ombudsman says it was clear to her that the tone of the email sent by the Department of Immigration in reply was disrespectful and meant to intimidate, and the purpose of it was to punish her for intending to make a complaint and discourage her from doing so. Wendy Cummings says the email went as far as to say that an update on her application would be withheld from her and further delayed if a complaint was made. She says the right to make a complaint to the Ombudsman is enshrined in law and a fundamental part of access to justice in our community. For this reason, she says she considers any action by a public entity to deter and discourage service users to lodge a complaint as a severe form of maladministration. Ms. Cummings found 6 instances of maladministration in this case, 2 of them severe. In the end, the complainant received both her certificate of permanent residence and an apology from the DIHA. Ms. Cummings says if the incident had not been remedied, she would have published a special report. In total, the department received 43 complaints in 2025, an increase compared to the previous year, and second only to housing, who received the most complaints, with 64 in total. Ms. Cummings says this suggests growing public demand and highlights a need for continued monitoring and improvements. Not all complaints are sustained, however. 38% of complaints are not taken on. The most common reasons for this are because they are outside the Ombudsman's jurisdiction or because all relevant avenues are not exhausted before the complaint is made.
A Gibraltar resident is among 4 people arrested after a rib reportedly carrying over 2.6 tons of cocaine was intercepted off the coast of Portugal. According to Reuters, the operation was carried out by Portuguese authorities in a major international operation with the cooperation of the Spanish and Italian police. The Italian police said the street value of the cocaine is approximately 500 million euros. 2 Spaniards and an Albanian man living in Italy were also arrested. The Chief Minister has spoken to the new UK Foreign Secretary and raised matters relevant to treaty implementation. Fabian Picardo spoke to Ed Miliband ahead of the Foreign Secretary's meeting with his Spanish counterpart, José Manuel Álvarez, tomorrow in Madrid. Number 6 said the discussion included consideration of how matters related to Gibraltar will be handled between the relevant ministers of state at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office going forward. The Chief Minister said the Foreign Secretary was very clear in his commitment to the British sovereignty of Gibraltar and the commitment of Prime Minister Andy Burnham's government to the double lock. The first repatriation of human remains through Gibraltar's land border has taken place following new treaty arrangements. The move is a significant development for families who previously faced complex arrangements, lengthy journeys, and additional costs when repatriating loved ones overseas. For Gibraltar's Moroccan community in particular, options were often limited to a fortnightly ferry service when it was operating. The new arrangements provide a quicker and simpler route while opening further possibilities through Spain. Golden Grace Funerals was the first to use the new system. Adrian Hewitt spoke to our reporter Kevin Rees about its significance.
It was a very special moment because we were able to, for the first time since the treaty, repatriate a deceased person through the border out of Gibraltar onwards. So, yes.
And why was it significant? Was there an issue with repatriations across the border previously?
Yes, there was an issue because since the border opened, we have never been able to take a deceased out through the land border. We can bring them in without any trouble, but getting them out was virtually impossible. The bureaucracy was very, very, very complicated. And in the case of the Moroccan community, it was obviously special because they had a ferry every 2 weeks. And if somebody passed away, you had to wait till there was a ferry available, which was sometimes cancelled. And for them, the Muslim community or believe that people should be buried very quickly. And for them, it caused a lot of grief. The family was over there. And this has opened a very, very, very big door for them.
So in this case, it's a repatriation of a Moroccan person back to Morocco through the land frontier. I'm assuming taking the ferry from Algeciras or Tarifa and onward.
Yes, it basically entailed preparing all the paperwork, liaising with all the relevant authorities, which we regularly liaise with anyway, both here in Gibraltar, in Spain, in Morocco, people we know for many, many years, and then getting them onto a ferry and back into Morocco. The advantage is obviously that there are many ferries, there are ferries daily, and this gives a lot of peace of mind for families.
So with the border now completely fluid, no border controls, so this opens up a whole range of opportunities.
Yes, it does, because added to this, at the moment, or the way it was, if people were going onwards elsewhere into the world, we were repatriating bodies elsewhere into the world, we had to do it via London. Funeral directors in Gibraltar, all of us, we had to arrange all the paperwork and go via London and then onwards, which entailed more expense for families, obviously, because it might involve 2 flights. Limitations with carriers, only certain carriers will carry human remains. And now this also opens possibilities of using airports in Spain which travel worldwide.
There have been a few issues of Spanish nationals passing in Gibraltar, living just meters or away from the border and having to go via London.
Yes, this has happened in the past. Very, very sad situations where people were wanting to be buried nearby in the hinterland, and we had to go via London. And imagine the expense when the cemetery that was going to be used was maybe just a few miles away.
This is a very human thing. It opens up possibilities for people. The last thing people need when they're grieving is the red tape, the wait. You've just repatriated your first body across to Morocco. Tell us about the reaction, that family's reaction.
It was very emotional, extremely emotional, because the couple of days leading up to it, everybody wanted to make this work. So everybody was chipping in this. Agencies in Gibraltar, contacts we have, people in Spain were extremely helpful, the authorities there, Moroccan authorities were extremely helpful as well. Everybody realized it was the first one, so everybody treated it with the urgency it needed. And it was great as well for the Moroccan community, who were in touch throughout. And the most important or most touching moment I had is when the Moroccan community here asked me for a photograph when our car was actually on the ferry, for them to have proof that the person was finally on the way. And the Moroccan community were waiting for that photograph. It was an extremely important photograph for them, and they were overwhelmed by it, yes.
The government says while there may be one pharmacy out of a particular stock item, the issues preventing the delivery of medicines last week have been resolved. In response to GBC questions as to whether some orders were still being held up in Spain, it says the information it has is that pharmacies have all products and that there are no known items which cannot be prescribed and or sourced. It says all the trucks which were at the Gibraltar La Línea compound were cleared last week, adding all initial issues should now be fully resolved and items have gone through the new procedures. It says the GHA pharmacy is monitoring the situation and is in regular contact with all pharmacies in Gibraltar, and that it is not concerned about stock levels. The Instituto Cervantes says it is ready to reopen its Gibraltar branch nearly 11 years after it closed. Its director says funding has been included in the organization's draft budget, although any reopening will still need the approval of the Spanish government. Luis García Montero says the Instituto's Gibraltar branch had played a very significant role in the past as a cultural center for dialogue in the campo and in reinforcing the teaching of Spanish.
The Instituto Cervantes operated in Gibraltar between 2011 and 2015, offering Spanish language classes as well as cultural and educational activities. Its director, Luis García Montero, says the Gibraltar branch played an important role in promoting the Spanish language and providing a space for cultural exchange between Gibraltar and the Campo de Gibraltar. He says the institute believes the centre should reopen and that preparations have already been made to allow that to happen. Speaking at the organization's annual meeting in Jerez, Mr. García Montero said funding for Gibraltar has been included in the Instituto Cervantes' draft budget with the aim of reopening the centre from the next academic year. He also said the recent agreement on Gibraltar between the UK and the European Union presents an opportunity to resume the Institute's cultural and educational work on the Rock. Any reopening, however, will require approval from the Spanish government, including Spain's Council of Ministers and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If that approval is given, the Instituto Cervantes could return to Gibraltar for the first time since 2015.
In response to GBC questions, the government says its position on the Instituto Cervantes remains the same as it was when the GSLP Liberals were in opposition back in 2011, when the Gibraltar branch opened. Number 6 says the Instituto is welcome in Gibraltar, but the government will not provide a public building for it. It adds it understands the organisation has already started the process of negotiating with private landlords to seek premises. The government says the licensing requirements will depend on what the Instituto intends to do and what services it intends to provide, adding it does not have information on this yet. While you're watching GBC News, still to come, connecting online, how social media can help people share stories and find support. We bring you the latest from Team Gibraltar at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and Champions League qualifiers Lincoln Red Imps lose on aggregate to Swedish champions Mjällby. We'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. Access to the Upper Town is being affected by traffic diversions expected to be in place for over a month. Northbound access from Europa Road via Prince Edward's Gate is closed for the next 5 weeks. The government says this is because of essential infrastructure works being carried out by Aquagib at Prince Edward's Road. All northbound vehicular traffic is diverted via Main Street, King's Yard Lane and Town Range, rejoining Prince Edward's Road at the junction by Hargraves Parade. This includes the bus service. No bus stops are affected, however the night bus service will continue to operate as normal. Pedestrian access also continues. On-street parking is suspended within the affected area. Social media is often seen as a source of negativity, setting impossible standards and unreal expectations. However, in Gibraltar today, the focus was very much on the positive side of social media and how it can provide a tool for open and honest communication. Patrick McKelvey and Melanie Cipollina-Giuliano told Claire Hernandez how their social media journeys took off.
I think there's a lot of weight that you can carry in actually having an open and honest conversation with somebody who you are not particularly familiar with. I think suddenly it breaks a barrier where there's usually maybe some stigma or there's usually some initial bias of the individual. So as soon as you propose or as soon as you present yourself as somebody who maybe isn't fully familiar with the person, it's like, this person is a kind of a stranger to me. Maybe I can be a little bit more honest and a little bit more vulnerable. Go into each conversation and I strike up each conversation in a very similar way, in a very similar format, with the idea to just allow them to be heard. I think for a while, I love the idea of actively listening to understand and as opposed to listening to respond. I think there's a big difference, and going into each conversation with that in mind as the foundation, I think it gives everyone the space and the floor to kind of just speak and to be heard. Again, I recognize the responsibility and the value that I have in these conversations and running this page, but definitely the utmost responsibility, because people are feeling confident enough and vulnerable enough to express, and there's a lot of weight behind that, and it's not an easy thing for people to do.
I was diagnosed with cancer back in 2018, and I didn't really tell anyone. I know people like to post those things on social media, but I think it just took me by complete and utter shock. I don't think I was in the right place. I didn't really share my story or tell even like family members how I felt. The more I share my story, it helps me. It's helped me grow. It's helped me be more sympathetic, but you feel more empathetic towards it because you've gone through it. And people forget that the surviving part is almost the easy part. You know, you go through the treatment and you come out the other side and people then think, she's cured. And that's where the battle starts, because you are a new person. What's going to work best for you is what you need to look at it. And that's what I try to do. You know, I do have my breakdowns, a lot of them. And waking up in the morning for me is a huge struggle with pain. And I just have to keep focused and tell myself. And I'll share that story. Whether you like it or not, you have to live the day. Why go in a negative? Try and just be positive, and your positivity might help someone else. So that's all I try to do, to be honest.
Well, over to Glasgow now, and it's the midway point of the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Robin Shepherd-Capurro was keeping a close eye on today's action.
End of day 5, and it's been a busy one for Team Gibraltar. In the pool this morning, Jordan Gonzalez and Jim Sanderson were in the same heat of the 50-metre butterfly alongside Olympic champion South African Chad le Clos. He finished first, unsurprisingly, and then Jordan and Jim finished second and third, respectively. But as impressive as they were, their times were not quite enough to qualify for the semi-finals. We heard from Jim after what was perhaps his last ever race.
Brilliant. Loved every second of it. I mean, first one was 16 years ago in Delhi, and now that was before half of the team were born. So it's quite nice to have another go at it. I had an itch that I needed to scratch, and in terms of a Commonwealth perspective, it's been scratched. I think there's a less than 1% chance that I'd do anything else again like this. But no, nice to finish with the PB. Good swim, and great swim by Jordan as well in there as well. But yeah, no, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I mean, I think if I thought 7 years ago when I stopped that I'd get back in and have another go at it, I'd be mental, especially considering I got married 2 weeks ago. So I have to thank my wife to let me be here as well.
At the other end of the age spectrum was Katie Green and Katie Maddox, both still teenagers and both wrapped up their first Commonwealth Games experience with solid swims. In athletics, young Finley could not do much about the sky-high standard of his 800-metre heat. Despite recording a season's best, he came last by some way, a cold dose of Commonwealth Games reality. Elsewhere, Ella Rush has gone pretty well in the heptathlon, racking up decent points today. In the hurdles and high jump, she's back tomorrow. And Luca de Soisa came last in his 400-metre heat this afternoon. Another good run from the Gibraltarian up against really tough opposition. It's been a patient wait for weightlifter Holly O'Shea, but this evening she finally did her first lift. More on that in just a moment. Tomorrow, athletics and swimming dominate for Team Gibraltar.
And Holly is competing this evening in the snatch and the clean and jerk weightlifting disciplines. We wish her and the rest of Team Gibraltar all the best. Football now, and after a goalless draw this evening, Lincoln Red Imps lost 3-0 on aggregate to Mialbi in the UEFA Champions League second round qualifiers. Our reporter Robin Shepard-Capurro was at Europa Point.
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Lincoln Red Imps here at Europa Point this evening in the second leg of their second round qualifier against the Swedish champions, Mialbi. You can see the last of their 500 fans or so that made the trip down to Gibraltar. 500 or so. It sounded like 1,000. They have been non-stop, relentless in support of their team. It's been really even, not just today, but in the first leg as well, and it really just came down to a 10-15 minute wobble for Lincoln Red Imps, in which they conceded 3 goals, and then football's cruel like that. It was really all over. So Lincoln are dumped out of the Champions League qualifiers. Now look forward to the third round of the Europa League qualifiers, where their opponent is as yet confirmed. I spoke in the last 10-15 minutes or so to Mialbi captain, but first Lincoln's Joe.
Yeah, I think we have to keep the positive stuff that we did today. We had a good match at home. We had the ball, we tried. We gave it all 90 minutes, and lucky result, we couldn't score that first goal to get into the game. But well, we have to keep that mentality at home and see how it goes on the next rounds.
It was an attacking lineup, it had to be, but there were actually relatively few chances created. A little bit disappointed maybe?
Yeah, it's difficult. We know the level of these teams, the good teams. Maybe the result away, it's difficult to come back from a 3-0, and we needed to score that goal. Maybe we had in our head to go and attack too fast, and we didn't have that calm to be maybe one more with the ball. But well, I think the team gave it all. We gave 100%. We couldn't get the result, but well, we're thinking in the next round now.
Pretty even over 2 legs, and it just came down really to that 15-minute wobble in the first leg. And it's a massive cliche, but football really can be cruel sometimes.
Yeah, I think we had that unfortunate 15 or 20 minutes over there in the game away. And that's it. We have to think in the next time. We can't be remembering what happened before. I think that the team has proved that we got the level to have good matches against these teams at a high level. But well, we can compete with anyone. Here at home we got the next match, so just going to go for it all and see if we can get a chance of getting in European competitions again.
Yeah, still plenty to be positive about. Fall into the Europa League now, and again another exciting tie ahead.
Yeah, we know that we got 2 chances more, and the team we got that confidence to play these type of games. We proved it last year that we can win even in past and get into the Conference League. So that's the mentality, and that's what we're going to go for.
I think we did a really good game at home, and I think we should have scored more goals. And here it was hard to play here on the field, and it was hot, and we don't used to that. But I think we did a decent game here as well.
Some big chances here as well. Could have really been in the lead at half-time, and then again at full-time. Goalkeeper for Lincoln to the rescue.
Yeah, he was really good, and I think if we would score 1 goal, the game would be finished. But we kept going the whole game, and we solid defense, and and now we are through to the next one.
Talk to us about your fans. Are they always this loud?
Yeah, always. They're fantastic, and I'm so happy to see so many people here. Fantastic.
Nearly 500 of them have made the trip, huh?
Yeah, fantastic. Like I said, it's amazing to share this with them.
And in this week's lottery draw, the first prize of £100,000 went to ticket number 00944. The second prize of £10,000 went to ticket number 00976. And £5,000 went to the owner of ticket number 14503. Congratulations to the winners. And that's all from the GBC News team for now. Don't forget, you can always catch up on our website and social media pages. From the team, have a good evening.